This does feel like the reunion Passover. Lot of
matzah, folks. Lot of matzah's gonna stuff your loins.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that was. There's like a chipmunk in your ass. Welcome back to
Buckle up, baby.
episode 26. Speedy episode. The day before a holiday is crazy times.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're doing this.
And we're coming from the Gottfried Shiva.
Yeah, that's a good first topic.
Yeah.
You know, Gilbert Gottfried, may he rest in peace. I feel like when a comedian dies, as opposed to other artists, I mean, whenever an artist dies, you kind of feel it, but it's subjective. But for me, when you lose like an iconic comedian, there's something very gutting about it in the sense that like comedy is about pure joy in a way. Like you have artists who are kind of dark and removed, and you have comedians who are like that too. But what they're trying to do is get you to laugh. So like when they die, it's just feels like such a cataclysmic break in the time, in like whatever it is in reality.
Yeah.
For me,
I hear that. I think of it differently because I think to be
could that be disagreeable?
Because I think to be. I think when a comic dies, I think of it as a relief for them, because to be a good comic, you have to be pretty dark, and like you have to like sacrifice a lot of relationships and
100%. We're not disagreeing. That's the same thing.
So when I hear a comedian die, I think like good for them. Like they're probably happier now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true too.
But for us, it's a lack of joy. Okay.
No, for us, it's really painful, and for them, they spend their whole life. Every artist is like this in a sense, giving and giving and giving to us and like giving us the joy at the expense of whatever they're going through. But there's always this pressure on them to be making us laugh.
Right.
But that relationship is a draining thing. So you're like, there's this relief. Okay.
Right.
You're done being in pain in this world.
Right.
But I don't know if every comic necessarily has to come from a place of pain. A lot of people say that, but sometimes it's...
Well, comedians specifically.
I know. I don't know
of that generation. I think now maybe it's a little different. Like you could be a fairly happy person and have like a successful YouTube channel. I feel like to come up in the 70s and 80s and 90s as a comedian, it was like rough.
Right, but you're saying that the process of making it as a comic is rough. But what about where you come from?
No. I'm saying to make it, you would have to have a reservoir of pain,
right?
In a way you don't necessarily need right now.
There are people who dispute that. Like Seinfeld's like, no, I was fine. I just love jokes. People like that. And you could say that their comedy reflects that. It doesn't possess a certain amount of pain. And I always take issue with this idea, and maybe because I don't come from such a place of pain growing up. Like I had good parents and like a normal childhood. And I don't want to feel like it gives a sense that when you're in that position, you're sort of an imposter. You're not a real comic because you didn't have a broken home with an abusive dad and a drunk mom and all that stuff. And I always feel like, why? Is funny only exclusive to that? Like, who's making these artificial rules? That's what real comedy is. Has to come from there.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I think just funny is funny. You know, and Tim spoke about this on a recent episode with Jessica Kirsten about Vassar, like comedians for Vassar, for fans from Vassar College. I don't know if I really agree with that. I just think if you have a comedic mind and you see funny, then it's funny.
Yeah.
You're kind of separating the art from the artist. Those people are making it artist dependent. Which I don't agree with that argument.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Somebody makes a great painting. Who cares who the person is?
Yeah, I don't see why it has to be that way, but I do think, I think it is that way 9 out of 10 times. Where like someone could be funny without all that pain. But
I don't know if Jim Gaffigan had a traumatic childhood, and I don't know his story, or Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah,
like. He talks about his parents and his family but I don't think it's pain he's reflecting. Right. He's like things that bother him or idiosyncrasies about his family and what's interesting about them.
You don't necessarily need to have gone through trauma though to be someone that feels a lot of pain.
Sure, but I'm just saying when you look at like Sebastian or other, there's a whole range of comics that their comedy doesn't reflect like reconciling with trauma or pain. It just reflects funny things about life. So to me, to put this standard of, and pedestal pain and suffering, as opposed to anything else, to me, I'm just interested in what I'm listening to and if it's funny.
Yeah.
And like, if I watched an amazing film, I'm like, well, the director actually had it pretty good. So I don't think this film is legit. It feels funny to put these qualifications on art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they're necessary. I wonder if Jim Gaffigan and Sebastian Maniscalco will be remembered past their lifetimes, though. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe, sure, you could be funny and make a lot of people laugh.
I think Seinfeld will. Come on.
Seinfeld will, probably because of the show. Mm-hmm. Probably because of the show. And that's also Larry David.
Yeah.
Who's... who's pain.
I just mean, sure, it's common and it makes sense why. Yeah. But I don't mean it disqualifies people who don't fall into that category.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
And I mean, everyone's been through pain. I have it in different ways too. But it's just like, the more pain, the more street cred. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. Having said that, I don't know Gilbert Gottfried's history and stuff, but I've been watching old clips and everything. I never actually saw him do stand-up.
If that guy did not go through a lot of pain, then how did he end up that way?
I feel like I want to do his voice so bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know when the timing is right. But I think you could still do it. To on it! I can't do it.
All the comedians were making, I think, did you see what Jim Norton tweeted?
No.
He said, like, his funeral is going to be filled with hotel managers and concierges trying to get all their shampoo back.
Yeah. Like, they're teasing him for all of his shtick and weirdness.
Yeah.
But I've been watching. It's funny to hear him in like his regular voice. I've been trying to find clips of that because I was so curious. And it is the same voice. It's very close to the loud voice.
And he's on Howard Stern. It's like, okay, talking like this. It's more reserved, but it's down here.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay.
When he starts to laugh, it just explodes.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. Last week I was doing an Instagram live or a TikTok live, and somebody jumped on who does another comic and voice actor. So we started Gilbert Gottfried each other just last week.
Yeah.
And it was just,
he was like, fucking ridiculous. Listen, these people.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
The voice will have to live on through us now. But
do you know how he died?
He had an illness, like some kind of muscular dystrophy related degenerative thing.
So strange.
He lives in Boca Raton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lived
there.
Yeah. So weird. Him and Norm Macdonald, I heard them both on podcasts recently. They had made no mention of their sickness, and then they died very quickly after.
The strange thing about this string of comics who've passed is every time one passes, another one sort of tweets about them, not knowing that they're the one who's next. Either the public doesn't know, like Bob Saget, Louis. Somebody does like
Bob Saget. Yeah.
I went through this. Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried, Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson. Louis Anderson. And Norm Macdonald. Like very iconic comedians all passing away in the span of a few months. And they're all like, and they're all like performing up until their death.
Right.
Like Bob Saget had a show that day and then died. And Gilbert Gottfried, I saw a tweet. He's like,
I'll be performing at March 28th.
It was a tweet. I don't know why I'm saying it that way.
Performing March 28th. Come see the show. Okay.
That was one of the first impressions. Not the first impression. I did that in a car once and you started dying. I wasn't sitting in the back of a car. We were driving to Maryland. And I just went, oh, Gilbert Gottfried? I think I do a Gilbert Gottfried. And I'm sitting in the back and I just go,
okay, Jafar, the thing that I don't understand.
And you were like, you tickle me.
The things that get me are the one word. You probably just said okay.
Yeah.
That probably got me.
And then we have a video on one of our clips of him as a synagogue president.
Show announcements. Yeah, we should put that out again.
But him on Howard Stern too. They were like, tell him a joke. Make him be like, he's like trying to be friends with one of the guys who's crying.
He's like, okay, so wait, what kind of joke does he want to know? Ha ha!
Oh, it's sad to me. I never saw him do stand-up, but I heard he was such a killer. And like, we know him from the acting and the voice, our generation. But like, he was really respected as a stand-up.
Yeah.
Never really got to see him. And I saw his written jokes. They're so filthy and hilarious.
He told a joke about a guy at a bar who he vomited all over himself, and he didn't want to go home because he had to tell his wife. So someone goes, I got an idea. He puts $10 in his pocket, and he goes, give your wife get home. You give your wife the $10 bill. Say some guy got drunk. He vomited all over me, but don't worry. He offered to pay for the dry cleaning. So the guy goes home. He gives his wife the money. He tells her the story, and she goes, but this is a 20. And he goes, oh yeah, he also shit in my pants.
I knew it. It's still such a good joke.
Oh yeah, he also shit in my pants.
I wanted to repurpose that joke to tell the kids about a kid at daycare. You think you could do that?
What do you mean?
Like a kid at daycare vomits all over themselves. They don't want to go home to mommy. Then they give their mom the $20 and they go, oh yeah, don't worry, he also shit in my pants.
Why is it so much better just replaced with kids?
Well, because I was thinking of a joke. Could you tell, like, what kind of jokes would, like, a 6-year-old appreciate? Mm-hmm. Like, could you tell that joke to a 6-year-old and would they laugh? You would know. I
would have
know.
to say pooped, but you could do it. Yeah. Of course. I don't think they would really...
It'd be funny to have, like, a library of jokes for kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like good jokes for kids.
Yes. And see if they... You know, I try jokes on my kids sometimes. They get the real simple stuff.
Yeah.
But the more sophisticated you get, obviously it loses it now. Right. But if it's funny enough, like he also pooped in my pants, and also you deliver it the right way, a kid just laughs. They don't know what to do.
You could probably just go with pooped in my pants.
We made up jokes so I can explain to them how jokes work. So I've been like, I'm like, what do you call? We made up some really silly ones. Like, what do you call an artist who smells?
A fartist.
Exactly. And they love it. And they like, tell that joke. I'm like, in front of people come over. I'm like, no. I'm just telling you the concept. Another one was, what happened? What do you call the fish who had an accident? I think, or I don't remember. What do you call a fish who had an accident? What do you call a fish who swims in yellow water? A goldfish. The punchline was goldfish. I was trying to like just teach them a little bit of wordplay because then they'll respond. Oh, I got one. Okay, what do you call a fish? Duty. So they're not getting it, but they're getting there. What do you call a fish? Duty. What do you call what's an elephant's favorite part of the car?
The trunk.
And they just die because it's the first jokes they'll ever. So that just kills. I'll try it in stand up. Maybe it's like anti-humor.
Yeah, I would. I would do a set like that. Yeah.
The trunk, and just sit with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm trying to teach them about jokes a little bit. So they try to make them up, and some kids get it more than others. I think like my oldest figures it out, and my second one is like, you know, just saying random funny words. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll be more obscurist.
Right, but that's about all you need for a kid.
Yeah.
Got it.
Anyway, I like that. A library of clean, kid-friendly jokes based on
that the parents could also appreciate overhearing.
Right. I like that.
Yeah. Something there.
Anyway, rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried, Bob Saget, Norm Macdonald. I didn't know Louis Anderson so well as a comic.
It used to be that, I guess all these guys were in their 60s. I feel like it used to be... When we were kids, people died in their 60s. Now it's like a little more of a tragedy. It feels
younger, because
we're closer.
Maybe because we were closer to 60s than we were then. But you're right, because I think people are just younger across the board. The ages are definitely younger than they used to be.
I think Joe Rogan said this, where like these like starlets in the 30s they would all like die they would all like be like really awful looking by the time they were like in their 40s, because all they did was smoke cigarettes all day. Mm-hmm. No one ever exercised. Yeah. No one like used shampoo. No one ate well.
Yeah, people are living longer and better and more active later. Right. But also, what was I going to say? The what's really interesting is that you also have people kind of making it and breaking out at like 50 years old. Mm-hmm. I mean, Joe Rogan, right, is like at the peak. He's 52 or something.
Right.
Bill Burr, like these guys 10 years ago, just go back a decade, were not household names. They weren't ubiquitous. Right. Now they're everywhere, and they're 50s. Yeah. So it gives you some perspective on the long game in the arts and entertainment when you're trying to build an audience. You know, Tim Dillon is in his 30s, early 30s, so that's different. So they're all experiencing the same thing happening with the new precedent of social media and everything, but they're at different ages in their career, in different stages. Different ages, different stages.
Different ages for different stages, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, I wonder if you told Bill Burr when he was in his young 20s, be like, dude, you're gonna be fine. But you're gonna be 50. Mm-hmm. I wonder if he would have stuck with it.
He talks about that. He was like, dude, I remember sitting in the club, and I'm in my 30s, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know, just did a set and I bombed. Just bombed. I'm sitting at a table. Waitress comes by and is charging me for a drink. I'm like, no, I just went. I'm like, oh my God, am I just one of those guys who's just not gonna make it? Is this me? Is this what it is? I'm just sitting here at a random bar performing for 10 people, bombing. Is that me? And I'm like, oh no, it's not what it is. I'll do it later. It happens later. Like he recaps on that on his Monday morning or something. Yeah. Oh, I'm like, it's just gonna be me, one of those guys who just doesn't make it. Oh God, dude. Not a bad Bill Burr.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Tyler's the best.
Yes, Tyler Fisher, the best Bill Burr. There's a couple of people out there, but Tyler's is way. Dude, come on, dude.
Do you ever notice a guy like Bill Burr also, like, when they get big and famous, their skin somehow gets better. Like Chris Rock, if you look at Chris Rock on SNL, he looks like a different person than he does. He looks so much better now than he did in his 20s.
That makes perfect sense.
What he just takes better care of himself? What is
more
it?
Money, more resources, better health, better food, better life.
But he's also so much older. Like Bill Burr looks amazing.
It could be that in the day when you're a road comic and you're unknown and you're eating crap and fast food and like traveling, eating nothing but junk and not exercising and don't have skincare and a routine.
Does that really make a difference though?
So I've been thinking about this. A lot. Like skin. Like they have this, I'm in my 30s, right? Yeah. Skincare. I don't put anything on my face and I just go to bed with, and I'm showered, but I don't like put like that stuff.
Oh, you don't? Oh, I put moisturizer on my arms.
Oh yeah.
I sit in a tank top and I moisturize my arms before I go to sleep.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
But I'm thinking for the face, right? Where people care about aging in the face.
Yeah, I would love
I keep getting these advertisements on TikTok and stuff of like, for skincare. I'm like, maybe what are they doing? But it's working because I'm like, maybe I do need to just start putting something on my face because what happens is like the collagen and all that crap, you'll start to just. Ew.
Does it? I can't imagine
women
do it
like crazy for that reason, and like they do it. There's a science to creams that whatever. Yeah. Now we're getting really vain and weird here, but I get it. Like it's like any kind of thing, and otherwise you'll age in a different way. Do you think it's not going to like reverse aging, but it will help?
Do you think like when you get that big contract from Netflix, you get a call and they're like, we are the people who take care of skin for celebrities, and we want to take care of your skin?
It's got to be. Think about it.
Yeah,
that's funny and cute, Michael. What you just said. I'm trying to listen. I'm just thinking my thought. Let me consider that for a second. I don't think they get a call from a skin routine and that says we'd like to sponsor you now that you are officially big.
Okay, now say what you wanted to say.
Okay. But you all of a sudden you're older, but now let's say you're 50, not 30. You see those pictures, they look younger, but they look like shit.
Yeah.
You've been traveling on the road. You get very little sleep. You get really shitty food. You're drinking all the time. You're putting poison into your body constantly because you're young. You think you can handle it. Then you get to a point in life you're like, I have to stop. You cut out alcohol, all the substances and stuff, at least that you're doing on a regular basis. You slow that way down and you replace it with healthy food, quality food, good sleep, resources, money, all the things that affords you. You go on your own schedule. Yeah, I think it'll look different. I think Bill Burr lost a lot of weight like in his like post-success life, and he talks about, he's like, first thing I had to do was get rid of the Oreos, nothing in the house, because if the Oreo's there, I'm gonna fucking consume it, I'm gonna consume it, and not just one Oreo, okay, the whole fucking sleeve. I'm gonna consume it.
You know what I think happens also?
So you do all those things, and you're a little older, but you're healthier.
And also part of it may be also like, you're not really sure how badly you want to live, and then the thing happens you've been working towards, and you're like, I want to live another 25 years. I better like start taking care of myself because I want to enjoy this.
So you're depleting your tank and saying, I'm just done. Oh wait,
it
was worth it. Okay, I'll stick around.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, he got married.
Right.
I think that's a big thing. A lot of his stand-up early days was about single life and dating, and then he gets married and has a kid, and a wife civilizes and takes care of you and makes sure you don't look like crap and dress like crap and all those things.
Possible also now when we see them on camera now, they have makeup too. They have someone doing their makeup before they go on camera.
Yeah, the way they project to the world is cleaner and better and all of those things, as opposed to before when you're just seeing a handheld whatever. Right. It's a whole host of things, and it's probably a real thing too. Yeah.
Should we, if we get the chance to interview Bill Burr, should we talk to him about his skincare routine the whole time?
I wonder. All these comics have come forward how much Bill Burr scares them. Did you see the Bill Burr interview with Theo Von?
No.
Like a couple 2 years ago or something like that. It was one of these. He really disrespected Theo Von.
Really?
He's like, I love how he's just like, because Theo Von's like, like Napoleon, doing it, because like talking his random Theo-ness, and Bill Burr's just like not biting. He's just like, I love how you're just like reaching for shit. What is this?
He was a guest on Theo Von's podcast.
Yeah, and then at some point he goes, can we just talk about my special? What are we doing? I love how you just like reach, Napoleon, what the fuck is that? And Theo's laughing because it's kind of uncomfortable, but he's going with it. But he's just like, at one point, some of it's good, Musser. Some of it's like good guilt tripping to Theo, because Theo's like, I had to stop my tour, and I was just, I was getting too much, I was just like, it was too much. He's like, oh yeah? Oh yeah, bands tour for 5 years and they go back in the studio and make a record. How long were you touring for? A year. Yeah, you got to get over that. And he's just like, yeah. a year is, I'd get over that quick. What are you talking about? And he says, giving him shit. And he's like, yeah, I guess I don't know. And then he's talking about acting, and Theo Von says something about like, it's hard for me to act, man, because my whole persona, my vibe, it's very me. It's very me. And I wish I could do a good Theo Von, but I can't.
You've done it good in the past.
Have I?
Yeah, the joke about getting bit by a gay guy.
So we'll see. My cousin got bit. It's just like, because I'm so into like, I value my brand and like myself. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you gotta get over that. You want to work in this business? I think you gotta get over that and value my brand. He's just like not going with him anyway.
I gotta watch that.
Very unforgiving, and it's worth watching.
I gotta watch that. I love that stuff. Those are the good podcasts.
Oh man, he's not being gentle with him.
Yeah,
he was very harsh. And Theo Von had to talk about it afterwards. And there are moments where Bill Burr just like says, I have. He's not very forgiving about like the bullshit, like social lubrication of a podcast. One guy asked him on the HQ, that show H3 podcast, no. Ethan something, who I've really come to dislike, but he hosts this podcast in Canada or something called H3. He had an early clip of Bill Burr with him, and he says something like, Bill, wait, so what's your family situation? Where are they from? He's like, I'm not going to talk about my family. Nah. I'm not going to talk about my family. What are you talking about? You know how many psychos there are out there? There's maniacs. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, but I don't know. Like, you're from, you must have some stuff. I just told you I'm not going to. What do you have a sister? You have a brother? What the fuck is wrong with you? And he goes, sorry. Jeez. He goes, yeah, there's fucking maniacs out there. I'm not telling you what my family is. And it's just like, pause.
I love that people put it. Yeah.
And Ethan, the host, says that later. He's like, I had to go in therapy after that episode. Like, it wrecked him. So yeah, and I saw another one with this guy I follow, like a comic. Oh, what's his name? I'm blanking. He has a really deep voice. Oh, yes, Russians are the scariest white people. You know that? You know that joke? Oh my god, it's bothering me a lot because I like this comic and I'd want to plug him. But what's his name? He has a really deep husky voice. He's like, damn it, Nana. Oh, I'm blanking. Anyway, he's talking about how Bill scares the shit out of him. But he has this joke. He was like, whenever I find myself in a scary neighborhood, two thugs walk up to me, I fake a Russian accent. Because they say, hey man, you know what neighborhood you in? Do you think this is a bad neighborhood? Russians are the scariest white people. What's his name? All right, I'll get his name. Put it up in the text in the episode or something. Okay. Anyway, Bill Burr scares a lot of comics, but then he's with like Joe Rogan and they're like kibitzing and they're having
What did he
fun.
do to that guy?
Something... Yeah. There's a clip of him and Andrew Santino talking about, what are you talking? They're just like giving each other shit, doing Bill Burr, back at each other. Dude. Anyway, we might be exhausting Bill Burr here on this episode, but if we had him on, I would say, so tell us about your skin and just keep it going. What are we doing? We're just talking about skin? What is this? What is this, L'Oreal? What is this? Sponsored by skincare? What is this shit?
I would love him to like really tear us down. That would be great.
Yeah, what is this? Two Orthodox Jews, but just sitting in a room? You got nothing to do? God. You guys, get out there. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's for someone who works, this is our Bill Burr episode. For someone who works so hard, it must kill him to see someone like Theo Von.
Oh.
I mean, Theo Von worked hard, but like the appearance is just like,
maybe just
kind of step backwards into it.
It could be that he just has no patience for Theo Von complaining. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
30 years in the game, and Theo was like, yeah, I had a year, I got stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these guys have such hustle, though. It's the truth. I mean, Theo Von's. How do they do like 7 podcasts? They're all on different ones all the time. There's clips of like Bert Kreischer, 2 bears, 1 cave, and then they're all tour. It's like the schedules is wild.
We have to get ourselves in a scene of podcasts. I'm really fascinated by podcast scenes.
Explain.
Of like. There's because I pay really close attention to like all the guests and everything. So there's like certain groups of podcast hosts that support each other and are friends with each other. And if you listen long enough and deeply enough, you start to pick up on it. So like Tim Ferriss, Brian Koppelman.
I forget who that is.
He made billions.
Okay. Yeah.
Bill Simmons,
right?
Well, maybe not Bill Simmons. Brian Koppelman is definitely hooked up with Bill Simmons,
right?
Tim Ferriss and Brian Koppelman are friends. Pete Holmes, is Pete?
There's another guy too who's like self-help inspo kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's Jay Shetty. There's like who I imitate on my bits.
And then you can also then track like Pete Holmes will have Adam McKay on as a guest, and you can tell like Pete
Is that
Holmes,
Adam Ruins Everything?
No, Adam McKay is the guy who made like The Big Short.
Right.
But like you can tell Pete Holmes is like working on a movie and he like wants Adam McKay in his like phone. So like he'll have him on as a guest to promote something, but really he's like pitching his like himself to Adam McKay the whole time.
I wonder if it has more to do with PR. Like these guys all use similar PR companies that book them on these shows. Because my take is when you all of a sudden start seeing somebody everywhere.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Like that's how it works with PR. You want to promote something, and all of a sudden you start seeing this guy. Oh, he was on Joe Rogan. He was on this. He was on Tim Ferriss. It's like, oh, he's got a book. He's got something he's promoting, and so he gets booked.
No, but the hosts will have each other, and like you can tell, and they'll share guests with each other also.
Because they're not like usually paid appearances except for expenses. So you do my show, I'll do your show. That happens too.
Yeah. It's just interesting for me to watch, like how the networking happens at that level.
Who do we want as a guest, Michael? What are we looking for? I mean, we could have comics that I've met in the scene and stuff. That's an exciting thing to hear about from their process, who also are outside the Jewish world and like see what it's like for them.
Yeah, so we want to have someone on who's been had a successful creative career and can talk about sort of where they come from, what kind of family they come from, and what kind of challenges that not in the typical way of like sort of more like socioeconomic challenges that are different than
navigating that.
Yeah. Like they were like I just saw the guy who was in Shang-Chi was an accountant.
The 10 Rings?
Yeah, the star of it was an accountant for a while.
Right.
Like I'd love to talk to him.
Okay.
You know, like how that
we have
to
learn how to pronounce his name. That's the first thing.
Well, his name's not Shang-Chi. That was the name of the movie.
What if we just kept calling him? So Shang-Chi.
Shang.
So Shang. He would be like, this is the most racist podcast I've ever been on. What is wrong with you guys?
And I love it.
Did you think at first it would be 9 rings? And then it was like 10. How did you handle that? What if we designed as a spoof, like the worst questions of all time for a podcast?
I don't think it would work as well as we hope it would.
No, it's almost like what's his name show? Eric Andre. His
yeah. But
that was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes to the max. But
Yeah.
that was his whole point.
Yeah.
And apparently his studio was boiling hot. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
So he'd keep it really hot. Like the opposite of studios where they keep it cold. And the whole audience, like, you know, in studio audiences, it's notorious for being very cold because it keeps people focused and awake, not sleepy. So he would make it really hot.
You can sort of tell everyone's very sleepy.
And uncomfortable. It's boiling. Such a brilliant thing. The problem with those kinds of shows is that they don't last long. If it becomes successful, you can't keep doing it.
Right.
What was it? And Bad Trip. Did you see Bad Trip?
Bad Trip was amazing. Yeah.
But it like didn't get in theaters and stuff like that. Because of the pandemic.
I think because of COVID, yeah. I would have loved to see that in theater.
Is Jackass movie out yet?
I think it's out and gone.
Out and gone. Right.
I wanted to see that in theaters.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
Things come and go. I've missed so many. Like, theaters is not even a thing for me anymore. I barely go to
I saw Sonic the Hedgehog too.
I'm taking my kids to see it.
Are you really?
I'll take the older 2 or 3.
They've seen Sonic the Hedgehog 1?
That was like one of the first movies I like took them to. Because they play the game like Sonic on an iPad or something like that. And it was a little intense for them because they're young. But, you know, I'll take
like
them.
$70 million.
It made so far?
It's the best performing video game movie ever.
Well, video game movies notoriously don't do well.
Yeah, this one did well.
Which is interesting. Maybe I saw the first one and it's fun. It felt like a 90s kids movie.
Yeah.
It didn't try too hard to be anything else. It was
Jim
just like
Carrey's in it, right?
Yeah, he's Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
Why did it do well? I mean, so Ben Schwartz is the voice of Sonic.
Right. Yeah, I see Jim Carrey's doing this and I'm thinking to myself, what is Jim Carrey doing?
Right.
I guess he's
just like Sonic the Hedgehog too. It's just fun for kids, and I wanted to do something for kids, and I really felt, you know, he talks like this now, and he's like doing interviews, and his teeth are kind of gangly, and it's like his face is a little bit Botox, so it's a little bit like stiff.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something for this generation. I said, yeah, let's do Sonic. I've never done Jim Carrey. Yeah, let's do Sonic. I think it's just, you know, an amalgamation of imagination, and you have evil, but it's fun evil, and the combat is that's the great debate of existence. I just lost it. But he's the executive producer. You're like, what is he doing in life? I don't know. Maybe he likes Sonic. I don't know. It's a little random.
To me, yeah.
It's a little random, but I love the casting of him because you'd expect Dr. Robotnik from the game to be this like heavy set, bald dude. But with him, I do like when movies do that where they throw a curveball.
I wonder if at a certain point,
cast member.
Yeah. The curveball cast member.
That's what I said.
I'm listening.
Don't you like when people do that?
Curveball cast member.
We're trying harder to listen to each other. This is some of the feedback Michael and I have been getting, mostly good, but we should be listening to each other more.
So we're gonna try to repeat what the other person said and think about it. Yeah, curveball. It's because it's not a.
Because we don't
fastball.
Because good conversation often is stacking and building on what we're saying and not just thinking of the next thing we want to say.
Right. So we're trying. But yeah, different cast members are great.
Gotta have a curveball.
I agree.
Heath Ledger as Joker.
What's your? You have any other curveballs you like?
You ever hit a curveball in baseball? This is going off the rails. Yeah. What is a good curveball cast member that ended up being amazing? Heath Ledger as Joker for sure. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get geeky. But
I was just talking about this with Iz, my writing partner.
Oh yeah.
Talking about someone we could cast in this movie, or someone it's just think about casting as we're writing the part. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about casting like this.
What a sound, Michael.
Yeah.
Into the mic, you can't even see it coming. Listen to that.
Can I beatbox?
Yeah. No, I don't know what the hell that was. There's like a chipmunk in your ass.
Well, we were thinking.
Trying to get out.
I never made this before.
No. It's trying to get out. And you're like, stay down.
Hey.
You're trying to cast for what?
No. So it's a character who sort of like went off the deep end and went into hiding for a while, and then like he comes out for kind of like one last case. He's a detective. So we're thinking about like
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, no. So he came out, but we were thinking about.
I'm Rebby.
We were thinking about an actor who's like you don't think of them as old, but they're actually kind of like in their 50s now. Someone like Ben Stiller, who you think of as young, but he's actually like kind of old.
Right.
And then someone who sort of like intentionally took a break from acting, and you're like, oh, that guy was great. Like Josh Hartnett, we thought of. Like, oh, where's Josh Hartnett been? Like, oh, he's been in nowhere trying to do.
And instead of like trying to shy away from the edge, you lean into it and focus on what they're
really.
Yeah,
you don't. Yeah, you let the gray go, and and you're like, oh, he kind of got old, and he kind of disappeared.
Assume
for a while.
new acting identity. In that way.
So when you see that actor, you get it immediately. Like that's what this guy is.
So like when you see that actor, you really get it immediately.
Immediately.
No, but I hear that. I forget about movies that have done that. Old Man Logan was the whole point. He was supposed to look real beaten up. Yeah. One of the best. Did you see Logan?
No.
Oh.
I actually saw.
They play into his age because the whole point of Logan is like aged Wolverine.
Yeah.
And like he's getting his ass kicked, and he's like a little thinner, and his hair they didn't color it up. You saw what?
No, I think we should have a whole episode where we just listen very intently to each other. You know what I hate when people in this like new agey like Pete Holmes' crew does this a lot.
You really shit on Pete, man.
I can't tell you how much I love Pete Holmes, by the way.
Yeah.
He has a new show on CBS. Go watch it. It's called
Awesome.
Bowled Over.
Awesome.
It's people in sort of like the Eastern like meditatey like self-healing like when they're asked a question, instead of answering right away, they go yeah. No, that's such a good question. But they do this.
When did they do that?
It's so irritating. All the time. They'll be like, so I just knew after that relationship I had to take time for myself.
The interviewer or the interviewee?
Self-care. The other
like the person interviewing? The person doing the interview will like agree with the subject?
Yeah. It's so annoying.
I'm trying to think. I haven't seen it.
You probably haven't heard it. It's like it's a thing. It's that like scene does this thing.
You know Lewis Holmes, something like that. He's like this kind of buff guy who does like inspiration content. He's another guy in this world of, what people get wrong. He's like Simon Sinek on. It's like what people get wrong. Tom Bilyeu, is that another one? You don't know that guy. These guys who are like in that space that you were talking about in the podcast circuit.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen that. That's Herbert from Vampire. Oh, so that's why people getting it wrong. He'd be a great podcast host.
He would be.
Oh, well, I got a whole basement full of popsicles. You come down to the cellar. Muscly on paper, boy.
So you like Family Guy?
I love how we're simulating listening to each other. I do like Family Guy. Once I was obsessed, and then I don't watch it anymore.
The listeners need. Is it more fun for us to listen to each other or just say what we want to say?
I don't know. It's probably less fun for us to overthink about it.
Yeah.
But we're gonna wrap this episode soon because it's Passover coming up. Any thoughts on Passover, Michael?
It's the longest holiday we have.
Yes.
One of the longest holidays.
For the modern Orthodox, they go crazy on like the modern Orthodox boomer mom is the strictest on Passover. Like they're super religious when it comes to Passover.
Yeah.
Covering the whole place up with tinfoil and boiling water.
Right.
It's like the things that are occasional, modern Orthodox is good at taking seriously.
Yeah. It's a fetish.
It's a fetish. Like, it's my time to invest all my religious energy into those once a year
misery
ones.
of it, yeah.
But I feel like, I don't want to jinx it, but this feels like the first Passover in like 2 years that feels like a regular one.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Last year was just after vaccines, and people were like, we're making accommodations. We're still doing it, but it's modified. We're doing this and that and this and that. The year before that was non-existent. Very sad Passover. People could not be together.
Yeah.
People were alone. And here we're like, this one could maybe sit amongst the ranks of a time that is past, a pre-pandemic Passover.
It finally does. Last year was billed as the reunion Passover.
Yeah.
But it was subconsciously clear that it wasn't. This does feel like the reunion Passover.
Yeah, like it's back and like we're all getting together.
You're going away. Did you go away last year to a program?
I did. Not a program sort. We were just like, it was, we went to like a rented house with the family because people were not comfortable yet all getting together because it was literally just after everyone got vaxxed.
It was just after.
Yes.
Everyone got vaxxed.
It was like March.
Right.
Remember March when everyone started to get their vaccines?
Right before April.
This feels like, I feel like also on COVIDness, everybody except for the crazy few who still wanted to be around is over it. Like everybody now is where people who are like, I don't want a mask, I don't want to wear a mask. I barely wear a mask, whatever. I forget it. Most people have moved to that guy's side. And the triple mask and the triple mask people who are like obsessed with COVID and never wanted to go away. I keep having this thought in my head. I've decided I don't like people who, anybody who, when asked, hey, do you want to get together? Anybody who responds first with, yeah, well, I mean, we'll see, because of the numbers, like that stuff. People who talk as if it's the March 2020. There's people who have not left that mentality. And I'm like, forget it. You can't get back to normal life. Either you don't want to or you can't emotionally. It's like, what? Well, I just heard. I'm like, what? Well, you know what? Yeah. It's like, did you hear Mayor Mayor Eric Adams, the new guy, got COVID? Apparently he had a scratchy throat for a day.
Yeah.
So anyone who used to say COVID's not a big deal who was wrong back then is right now.
I really wish somebody would, when I invite them over for lunch on Shabbat or something, go actually, just over COVID, we realized we really don't like seeing people, so we're just not going to go to. We're not going to turn that. We're going to turn that one down. I'm sorry.
Honest COVID.
I would love that. Yeah. We're actually cutting down on all our interactions. So no.
I wonder if the people who are hesitant or just don't want to hang out with people. But I think it became a fetish to be all like concerned. It just played into people's neuroses. Yeah. So if you had that, now you have an excuse to be neurotic without having to say I'm just crazy. Yeah. Or the germophobia or whatever. But I'm just saying time eventually favors those who are COVID lax.
What do you mean?
People who are lax about COVID eventually. Everybody moves to their side. That's the goal. To become lax about this stuff that is not that big a deal anymore. Thank God. That's what we wanted. Yeah. We did all these things. We have these treatments. We have these vaccines. We did all these things to get to this place where people who were there prematurely were being a little reckless. I get it. But now, I think that's a problem. I think it's the tribal nature of how it was. Nobody wants to join them. Nobody wants to be like COVID lax because it feels alt-right.
Right.
I think that's a big part of it. It's like we're allowed to. I mean, I'm not them. I know, but normal life allows.
The people I interact with, it's not even spoken about anymore. I haven't had anyone say to me, they're not doing something because of COVID. I mean, I had cousins, but even they're over it now.
They're over it.
They're coming. Their 5-year-old got vaccinated, and now they're out. They were waiting for that.
Okay.
but I'm whatever you think of that, they're out now, so I don't know who's left.
When you see I get it, some people are immunocompromised, people have different issues, so I don't judge. You see somebody with a mask walking outside now, and you're like,
Well, you know what it is, I think?
What is that?
Look, sometimes I find myself with a mask because you come out of a store.
No. Sometimes it's like this guy's been walking a while. You can tell this is his zone or her zone. They're maskers. Yeah. Like they have a mask on. Yeah. To me, it just seems just as irrational as the people who ran indoors in the middle of March 2020 and just hung out in a massive group with older people. Yeah. I don't know. And now it like come out, it's like if the people used to say, the masks don't work, you're like, oh, you're a crazy Trumpy denier. It turns out they don't really work.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I think.
And just like that, we're out. A COVID episode.
Towards the mask thing of decide how you decide. Just maybe this is a big idea to end on. We can go more into it next time we meet. Like if you don't have anything outside, if you don't have a source of wisdom outside of like the mainstream news, you can't survive right now. Like if you don't like some sort of wisdom that has survived generations, like novels or like literature or Eastern philosophy or Greek philosophy or Stoicism, or like Hasidic things, that's my thing, but like something you can turn to outside of the news to understand the world. Like I think like the people who are walking around with masks are just lost. Like they don't have anything.
You think the COVID thing has become their religion?
No, it's not that COVID's become their religion. It's that they don't have a way to process good idea from bad idea outside of what the New York Times is telling them.
But at the same time, it's that sort of, because COVID became this way to signal virtue and way to be on the right side of it, they take comfort in doing what is right and virtuous for the community by being responsible.
Right. That
fulfills a certain religious need to have purpose and be driven towards a communal goal or being part of something bigger than yourself. But when you're not part of anything bigger other than this, you gravitate to whatever that may be, whatever's offering it. It's like that's what you have because you're starving for some sense of purpose. And we may be looking too much into that. But I think that could be what the appeal was of this whole, the anti-vax are the sinners and we are the righteous ones. Get vaccinated, for those who shall not be vaxxed shall not see the kingdom in heaven. It had that like tone to it.
Yeah, I think that was.
It wasn't like, do what you, I'll do me, because that religion doesn't work that way. It's like, no, if I'm doing what's right, and that's the ultimate, singular truth, then everybody else who's not is wrong and must be corrected.
Right. Must be corrected. Being corrected.
That's Buckle Up episode 26. Episode 26. What do we say? We don't say Happy Passover or Pesach Sameach, just Chag Sameach. There's no like distinct.
Yeah.
Pesach.
Happy Passover.
Happy Pass.
Happy Pass.
Dude, have a good Passover, right?
Yeah, what do people say?
They don't. They say Chag Sameach.
Yeah, but what do you say to secular?
You can say Happy Holidays. Enjoy the holiday.
Happy holidays.
Have a good Passover.
Yeah, have a good Passover.
Have a good Passover.
Have a good Passover.
Have a good Passover, everybody. We will be off next week. I'll be live streaming from Florida. But from Miami style.
Oh yeah, what's the tell everyone how to find you?
Well, it's my private account. I can't broadcast all this stuff to the. I mean, it's private. It's a treat. It's a treat for the home folks.
You're not going to give her own account?
I don't think so. It's too. Maybe.
I would like to go back. There are people who would go back and look at all the Formiomis.
I know.
If you
but they're on my account.
They're in a highlight reel or something?
Yeah.
Oh, they are? Okay.
They're all there. Every year I put in a highlight reel on my own account.
Oh, that's maybe all you need.
Yeah, okay. Good. So I'll do that. And it's fun because it's really, I know the people following really know me.
Right.
So it's like a nice personal little treat to entertain the friends and family watching from what. Anyway, not thinking too much about it. I'll just have some fun with it. We'll end on a
Happy Passover.
That was a weird one. Buckle Up episode 26. Enjoy the constipation.
Yeah.
A lot of matzah.
A lot of matzah.
Matzah.
A lot of matzah.
A lot of matzah, folks. A lot of matzah is going to stuff your loins. A lot of matzah, folks. A lot of matzah. Trump always a little constipated. He's always pushing a little bit. That's it. Trump's constipated with matzah. Oh, add to the round. Miami. Beautiful program, folks. We'll see you next time.